It's Monday, and it's amazing what a difference a week can make. I'm sure many of you during this past week have had kind of emotions that have gone up and down, or questions, or maybe a little bit of uneasiness and anxiety. But I can say that for me and for Jeff, I feel really peaceful and really strong. And a lot of that came from a lot of intention. So I think I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And also, for the past 20 years, we've worked from home, and it has its good things and its challenges. When we moved here 3 years ago to a literal live workspace, the areas became a little bit more defined, and that's been really good. But there's some really wonderful things that can happen at home now more than ever in the world that we live in. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that also. This year has been really interesting because everything that we thought or had planned, or the way that it would regularly go, shifted. It changed, and interestingly, it was happening quickly in real time. Jeff ended up having surgery in January on his knee, orthoscopic surgery. So at first we thought, oh, we won't end up going to New York Fashion Week, but we did, because it went extremely well, and he did the physical therapy. So we're like, okay, we're going to New York, come home. Normally, for the past 13 years, he's gone to, I think the UPS guy is coming. Normally, see, real life. Normally, we would have gone on to Milan. Jeff would, for the past 13 years. He hasn't missed. And because of the surgery and because of other things, he was like, I don't really want to push my body at this point, because we knew we were going to go to Paris. So he was like, you know what? I think I'm going to not do Milan this time, which is interesting in hindsight that that's what happened. And as I shared before, we were on the way to Paris and literally turned around in Detroit because we could tell that he was getting sick, and ended up having type A flu. During that time, he was sick for about a week. I mean, in bed, flatlined. Thank you, God, he's doing well and fully recovered. Still a little tired, fatigued, but every day getting better. Sorry, honey, I had to say it. But during that time, I was really intentional with my time, taking care of him. He stayed in our room the whole time. I slept in the guest room, and I would come down and work a little bit in the office, but then I would also, I started watching more masterclass. I had more time to do that. I also had a lot of intentional quiet time, which I've shared about that. I read, I journaled, and I also really sought to get creative. As I said, we've been doing what we've been doing for 2 decades. You want to know that you're always elevating, always learning, always doing new things. That's always been something that's really important in my life. And during that time, some ideas came to me that we're super excited about. And now we have the time to really implement and work on that. We have time to let our creative juices flow. We have time to be still and listen. And what I would say to you is, I'm hopeful that during this time that you can do the same thing. A passion of mine has always been this love project that I have, that now I have more clarity about, by the way, which is really exciting too, and that's Seek, Find You. Because the passion of my heart is for people to find 100% who they were designed to be, what you can bring into this world that nobody else can, why you're beautifully and wonderfully made, and there's no one else like you. And so there's a responsibility to really nurture and find what you are meant for. And this time of uncertainty, today when I listened to the news last week, I think it was on Wednesday and Thursday when they were announcing, just it seemed like super like, this is stopping, you know, flights were changing. We had to make decisions. We were supposed to be flying out to New York today to travel with one of our new faces for the first time. That changed. I know that you guys have probably had a million things in your world that changed. And you're hearing the NBA is canceling the season, Live Nation. As those things were coming, I did feel myself going anxious. And then we would talk and I was like, okay, I have to fuel myself, listen to, find the calming voice. And I became intentional about it. John Maxwell is a great leader that I love. He did a fantastic podcast, which I really encourage you to listen to, about leading during this. And it made me go like this. And then the next day, I needed to hear it again. So I listened to it again, and it made me go like this. And that still small voice brings peace in the midst of. I'm sure that you've lived through some things. I know I have. And I can say that there's been times in my life where literally in the midst of chaos, there was peace. There was a beautiful peace. And this morning on Good Morning America, I hesitated a little to do I want to watch the news? Do I not want to? Because it can be overwhelming. I really even felt like today on GMA there was a shift. There was more of a calming, that we're getting our bearings. It wasn't all the sky is falling. There was a lot of tangible, good information that was extremely helpful. And I think that we all need to be responsible for that. I will say I went on Facebook and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now as far as what people are saying and theories and speculation and bipartisanship and mudslinging, and I don't have time for that. I can't listen to it. I can't take it in. I'm not going to take it in. And I would suggest to you to be really careful whose voices you're allowing into your spirit right now. I know we're not isolated. We're not in isolation, but we are in a time where we're distancing ourselves, keeping ourselves in a space. And I believe that put to good use, this time can be so transformative. I know for us, that's how we're viewing it. And things that we've had that we've been wanting to work on, but life gets you going like this sometimes. And I think the blessing that's coming is it is making us all slow down. And I believe that in your life, there are probably some really wonderful things that can unfold. Kind of a returning to yourself and allowing yourself to value yourself, and also using the time in a transformative way to read some good books, investigate some things maybe you haven't thought about, open your mind up to great podcasts. For the first time ever, lots of churches yesterday streamed live online. Our local church did, and it was really great because we were able to watch it from the comfort of our own home. Even though it's not what I've preferred, it was still wonderful. And our church in New York that we love, Hillsong, they streamed online also, and I believe it's on YouTube now after the fact, and it was beautiful. I stood in our living room, and during the beginning when they were doing all the wonderful music that Hillsong does, I literally was tears were streaming down my face, and the message was powerful, and it gives you the sense of calm, and also felt there was a connection because there are friends there that are our friends that we just spent time with in New York when we were there for shows, and there's something really beautiful about being connected because of technology. It was powerful. What you do, the kind of the category of 8 weeks. You hear people talk about what you can do in 30 days, or there's an actual planner system that talk in 90-day increments of, here's 90 days, what can you do with these 90 days? I like the idea of thinking of this time, of these 8 weeks, of being really intentional that these 8 weeks can bring you back to a better version of yourself, that without the distraction and the constant going, and that it may unlock a dream that you used to have, or you may come back to a passion that you thought, oh, I can't do this anymore, or life got in the way and all of a sudden you let it go. There's so many wonderful businesses and ideas, everything's at your fingertips. So instead of being bogged down with the news and overwhelmed with what could be, worry is a waste of energy and it can take you to a not good place. Fear never comes from God. It never comes from God. So even if you don't really necessarily feel like you have a strong relationship with God, you can talk to him like I talked to Jeff. God, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Give me your peace. And some people may think that's crazy, but I'm here to tell you, for me, it's changed my life. I feel that presence. Some of the darkest days of my life, when no circumstance had changed, but I took the position of surrender and asking for God to give me a peace that passes all understanding. He always did, and he always will. And that's the place that I choose to be today. How are you going to use these next 8 weeks? Maybe just start journaling about things that you like. Or maybe, I know for a lot of people, we love the restaurant industry. Our son is a chef. We know so many restaurant owners and creative chefs, and our heart goes out to them, and we know that this is a hard time, but we are a brother's keeper, so we need to support, order stuff to take out and do all those things. But for people that are going to be kind of in a situation where they're not in their normal life, I've been talking about it for a couple of weeks. Find a side hustle. Do the thing that you've always wanted to do. Maybe for me, I'm like, I guess there's no excuse not to be writing. Like, literally, those are the things that you can do with this time. And listen to me, if there are people in your life that, as part of this, speak words that cause you anxiety or make you more fearful, my recommendation is to say, I appreciate you, but I can't listen to this. I need to do what I'm being told by the governing people, whether physicians and the people that are making us safe, and then find some voices that can encourage you, me being one of them, to use this time for good. Use this time for finding the other things that you could be doing in your life. That this business started with a hobby. It started with a passion. It continues to unfold in that direction. Even the things that we're going to be working on during this downtime, well, it's not even downtime, but a different way of doing business, is another new passion and excitement for us. And all of it comes from allowing ourselves to take the time to think what we could do better, to in this ever-changing world. It's changing fast in both directions. Sometimes it only seems like in bad ways, but really there's a lot of good ways that it's changing. The fact that we can communicate like this, the fact that you can live stream and give information, the fact that you can show support over your phone and check in on people, you can send them a care item, there's so many things that you can do. So choose to use this to seek and find you and all those things that are in your heart that make you the unique person that you are. And it can turn into a beautiful hobby, a wonderful business, a new community of people. The sky is the limit for what it can do in your life. Have a great week. Fill your heart with good voices, and I will talk to you next Monday.